Welcome everybody. My name is T, also known as Tatenda, also known as Monarch Butterfly, also known as Ridley's finest, if not me, then who. And we are here live on ULTI.TV, and we've got something very special for you all today. We are joined by the creators, some of the members of the Indian Ultimate Players Association, and we're here just re-platforming an incredible story. So it's the story of the 2015 Under-23 World Championship team, and if my understanding is correct, it was the first Indian team to compete at an international grass competition. And it's a fantastic documentary made by Varsha, and we're just here having a conversation about it, re-platforming it on ULTI.TV so that as many people as possible can just take in this wonderful story. So I'm going to introduce our wonderful guests here. First, we have Varsha.
Hi, Tatenda, thanks.
Yes, thank you. We've got Megna.
Hello, excited to be here.
Yes, we've got Sumesh.
Hello everyone, good to see you all. Yeah, excited to talk to you, sharing our experience.
Last but certainly not least, we've got Mrinalini. Apologies if my pronunciation.
That's okay. I was waiting. Okay, yes, sorry. Mrinalini.
Mrinalini. Sorry about that. Trying my best here, really and truly, but it is very much important to get names right. Maybe you can start by giving each of us an explanation of who we are and who you are and what it is, either your involvement within Indian Ultimate or within the documentary itself.
All right, I'll go first. I'm the current president of the Ultimate Players Association of India, and I will pass it back to Varsha.
Hi, everyone. I'm Varsha. I currently am the co-founder and director of One All, and the filmmaker of the film that we're going to watch.
Sumesh, what about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Sumesh. So right now I'm working in One All as a program head, and I have been playing Ultimate Frisbee around a decade.
Awesome. And I'm Mrinalini. I am currently heading operations for the Ultimate Players Association of India. And what Sumesh forgot to mention was that he was also a player on the Under-23 team that we're featuring today.
And so I guess, having watched the documentary, it really struck a deep chord with me in terms of I have a real interest and keen passion for developing the sport. Myself come from developing spaces, born in Zimbabwe, so seeing other communities develop and make it to the world stage is really inspiring to myself. And the first thing that really struck me was about the spirit of the game and the massive emphasis within that. And I think India has come top 3 in most of its championships competed within the spirit category. So what is it about the organization of Indian Ultimate, or perhaps the Indian culture, that makes it, the Indian teams competing at international tournaments so spirited?
I wouldn't go so far to attribute it to the Indian culture, but what I'll do is I will attribute it to the founding members of Ultimate in India. I think they were attracted to the sport because of spirit of the game, and they ensured that they emphasized it all through. So when we started playing Ultimate, we had spirit games. At our recent nationals, we even had medals for number 1, 2, 3 spirited teams. So I think it's very much part of our fabric. Another, I think, piece that contributes to high spirit is that we started our international campaign in partnership with Ultimate Australia, and Dan Rule, who was a first coach of our national team, ensured that even our selection process took spirit of the game into account. So it was definitely one of our selection criteria and continues to be for all our national team players. Most of our national team players also come from NGOs that use Ultimate Frisbee in the sports for development space. And when they leverage that, I think it's important to really reinforce the message of SOTG when it comes to teaching conflict resolution or life skills building. And the athletes just embody that. And finally, I think it's such a trial and tribulation to put a national team together, fundraise, ensure that visas for all our athletes come through, and eventually land up in the country of the tournament. So I think our athletes are just excited to be there, and that shows on the field.
Yeah, no, that's it's incredible. Something that really, I think it comes through in the documentary, the excitement that is brought together, the joy that those players have within one another, and the joy that they brings to the tournament. You can see that through the interactions with some of the other teams. And just to touch on your last point there, mentioning some of the difficulties, I guess it brings me on to my next question. You know, at which point of the process did you actually think that making it to the World Championships was the furthest away and possibly not going to happen? Maybe Sumesh, you might be best placed to answer that.
Tamil translation சொல்றீங்களா?
ஷூர். அவங்க என்ன கேட்குறாங்கன்னா, எப்போ நம்மளுக்கு போக முடியுமா, போக முடியாதான்னு எப்போ தோணுச்சு? இல்ல போக முடியும்னு நம்மளுக்கு எப்போ புரிஞ்சது? அதான் அவர் கேட்குறாரு.
Okay. Yes, thank Neka for translating. Yes. First time, like 2015, first India team goes to London is really matter to lot. So at that time we thought like most of our team are like not even flied once in aeroplane, and then lots of people don't have passport. So we struggled a lot passport, like because lots of documentation process in Indian embassy also. So we tried to get all the passport, and then like last minute we applied for visa. Last time like less documentation, so our visa got rejected. And then we all scared and like whatever this best journey. So we thought like that is the learning process. From there we can take, and then our like that core team hard, and again we reapplied, and the moment we got the visa was just waiting outside for another 2 to 1 hour. It's like here for us, like we just all our people, I mean player are watching that time, like when it's become like that 1 hour will be gone. So then like we just got open, and we got our first visa stamp and all our passport. Then we all cried and hugged each other, and like scam to play under 23. Yeah.
And Varsha, from your perspective, being behind the camera or just documenting this entire process, which point in the process was it for you maybe the most far away or the most difficult moment?
So at that point, we had. I was also part of the managing team, apart from being the documentarian of the team's journey to London. And we had initially raised about $27,000 for this campaign through an online crowdfunding campaign. And that was a huge deal to raise that much money for the first time in India. And then the visas got rejected, and like Sumesh said, it was touch and go. We were waiting with 3 days in hand just before the tournaments that had started, and we had this great sponsor called KSK Energy who came on board. through a young ultimate player at the time, Rishabh. His father owned KSK Energy, and he convinced him to believe in this team. And we'd never seen sponsors like that before. We'd already booked tickets when our visas had gotten rejected, and we didn't know even whether when we get the visas, whether we'd actually have money to rebook the tickets. And our sponsors said, it's okay, if you all get it, we'll do it all over again. And they really believed in this team. So it was just before that we really thought that, we don't know where we're going and what this is going to be like for this team. So yeah, that was the situation then.
Oh, that really is, yeah, incredible. And I guess that's one of the reasons sponsorship and funding of teams of project within the sport is so pivotal. I was wondering if anyone else has any experiences or any thoughts of that time, the thought where it was most difficult, or thought that the World Championships was furthest away.
I'll take that one. I feel like it's not just that particular championship. It's pretty much every championship that we field a national team for. It's nail-biting to the very end. Fundraising is, I think, where we spend most of our time. And the possibility of sending a team is always hanging in a fine balance. So it's something that we confront time and again. And I think we've gotten better. We are not as emotional or attached to outcomes right now. We just go with the flow and see if we are able to field our national teams.
Yeah. And I guess that brings me on to my next questions. So you take in each national championships as it goes. Previously mentioned the previous sponsors. Who were some of the people maybe not featured in the documentary that were pivotal to ensuring that the entire project came together?
I can take that one. So we had a huge team behind this campaign. The president of UPAI at the time, Jaideep, who happens to be Megna's husband, coincidentally, he was really behind this project. Veera Sethuraman, whose initial idea it was to send a team to under 23. Kishore Sethuraman, who was our sponsor, who's part of KSK, and the management team was Kamal, Chiai, Naveen, Jess, Liz. It was a massive effort to get passports for everybody, make every single application, do the fundraising, make sure everybody had the right things packed, and you don't put deodorant in your hand luggage, and like from those tiny minute details to massive campaign details, everything was taken care of by this team. So huge shout out to them, and also the assistant coaches, Abhinav, VP, and Box, who really did a fantastic job and learned so much from Dan. And they've been really pivotal in shaping the coaching section of Indian Ultimate right now.
Yeah, fantastic. And yeah, it's great to hear the stories and just the acknowledgements of some of the people we might not have seen in the documentary, but we all know with projects of this size and even organizational structures, there's always the unsung heroes that do put in a lot of work, and it's great to acknowledge them. Maybe Sumesh, I have a question for you. In the documentary, we see Dan, the coach, explaining how to use the toilets in London and how they differ. It's quite in the documentary, it's maybe adds a bit of brevity. So my question is, what were some of the other biggest cultural shocks you experienced while out in London?
So here in India, it's like using Western toilet is completely new for us. Most of like our under 20 team players. So Dan taught us like how to use that toilet papers, because like we usually use lots of in India, but there is like we need to use like toilet paper. So that is how like Dan teaches. And another shocking in London is like we usually take shower in a private a room, and like we took shower with like a dress or like like innerwear. But while tournament places, like people are like taking shower very near. I think we all like shocked, like, and then people are like showing, no, here, like we take shower like this, or like another shock. And Dan like taught us like everything, like the weather. We tried everything, like windy weather, or like even it's a drizzle, or like here in India, it's too completely like complete, like for that 1 week of like after 2 to 3 only we got adapted to that. Then yeah, that is another shock and influence for us. And the food, actually, another thing is food. So all the like tournament foods, or like vegetables and salads and all. Here, like we tended to eat all the 3 meals, or like either rice or chapati dal, but all vegetables. So we have a separate, like our coaches and managing team set up a separate chef, and then we make all Indian food for us. So this is also another different thing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's intriguing to obviously being in international sport and a world championships. It's a culmination of cultures and experiences all coming together, and I think it really helps us understand each other as just human beings when we have a understanding of, oh, we do things like this, but we do things like this, and it's really interesting just to hear those perspectives and those stories. Because the next question is, we see many players in the documentary talking about their familial struggles, maybe the fact of like objection to pursuing the sport, maybe not fully understanding it. And I distinctly remember one part talking about, I think it was one of the female players talking about any potential partners in the future having to accept ultimate as a big part of their lives. I was just wondering, since that 2015 team and maybe a bit more exposure through Ultimate, are families and the culture more accepting, more understanding, or more aware of the sport and its importance to people? And maybe Minu, my best place to answer that, or perhaps even Varsha.
No, I'm happy to take that. Thanks, T. So I'm not sure if it's changed a lot of perspectives. Well, enough perspectives, at least with respect to families accepting the sport. Maybe we made a tiny smidgen of progress. But yeah, I think all of us have had our share of I guess, conversations with families to get to play Ultimate. So because it's so new and it's so unknown. In fact, even with my family, they've really never stopped me from doing anything. They've been very supportive. But what started off as fun and an extracurricular activity while I was doing my post graduation about a decade ago, suddenly has transformed into a career choice for me, right? And that transition was something that definitely took them by surprise, and it took a little bit of. And they watched me through the pandemic, working for UPAI, and then understood, and then have slowly reached a point where they're like, okay, there is something that she's doing, but it takes a while because, especially parents here are very, very protective and eagle-esque over their offsprings. So yeah, and definitely Ultimate's now a non-negotiable part of my life, as I'm guessing everyone else will share. But Varsha, do you have anything to add on?
Yeah, thanks, Minu. I do have something to add. Not about myself, like Mrinalini said. I'm also privileged enough that my family supports me in every possible way. But here in Gudlur, we have facilitators in one all who play the sport of ultimate frisbee and teach young people, and we've got tribal women who are doing this role here. And one of our facilitators, the first one to get married out of all of us, faced a lot of challenges in her house, trying to convince her in-laws, her parents, that she wanted to continue working as a sport teacher. Older women playing sport, teaching other kids is hardly done in India today, especially in rural India. So here I just wanted to give a shout out to all our facilitators, mostly women. Our team in One All have more than 70% of women, and all from difficult socioeconomic backgrounds. And the amount of hard work that they have put in to convince their families that what they are doing is important and close to their heart is tremendous. So I really want to appreciate them here.
Yeah, no, that's incredible to hear. Because follow up to that is, within personal lives, what was maybe like the inciting moment where you thought, actually, no, this is what I want to do. I think it's something common within ultimate players' lives, regardless of whichever environment you come from. Maybe coming from different parts of the world, may not have same access to resources or opportunities, also there might be a more difficult or a greater commitment than if you're in the developed world. But guess what was it within your own personal lives that was that moment of, this is what I want to pursue, as opposed to pursuing other fields which may be more profitable in the short term, or maybe but not as fulfilling?
I think personally for me, my family just saw how crazy I was about the sport, and that I just couldn't do anything else other than playing Ultimate and trying to center everything that I could possibly do around Ultimate, which is why this film ended up happening, actually. It was because I couldn't take time off to go and do other commissioned film work. So I tried to make films around what I was really crazy about at the time. So for me, when this film was made, when I finished shooting the film, not when I finished editing it, that was when I knew that I this is what I wanted to do.
And I'd be really interested to hear everyone's perspective, because it's all such a unique thing to us itself, coming through the media aspect of, okay, I made this documentary, I can't do anything else, let me make the documentary work. Yeah, Minnie, what about yourself? What was that inciting moment? It was like, okay, this is what I'm doing.
I'm afraid to say this, but I got manixed, and it's a verb heavily used in the Indian ultimate community. Yeah, it was. I was into conservation prior to this. In no way was I able to connect that to ultimate frisbee. I've been playing for a decade, but it really didn't overlap anywhere. And at one point, I was in the in the forests of India and not getting enough ultimate in my life, and I just made that shift. And I think I have no words for it. It was just a moment saying I need more ultimate in my life, and it was just to play a little more, be with my team, practice for competitive ultimate, not just show up on tournament days, which I was doing for a bit. So I think that change, when I took that decision to just make that happen, was the switch. Where then I've been in Chennai, and now I work for UPAI. So yeah.
And Meg, what about yourself? Megna, what about yourself?
I don't think there was a single moment, to be honest. Though I've always recognized that I get so much out of the sport, whether it is just the ability to share the playing field with so many people who are very different from where I am from. That really opens my eyes and mind, but also my heart. It sounds really cheesy, but the ability to just understand, get along, and make friends on the field has been fabulous. Its impact on who I am as a person, how I apply myself even at work. I actually have a full-time job outside of volunteering with the Ultimate Players Association of India, has been immense. So when the opportunity to stand up for elections or pick up a managerial role or anything really to help the community comes up, I just feel like since I've gotten so much from the sport, I need to give back. And that's kept me motivated and given me so much joy. So those are my reasons. Sume?
ஸோ கொஸ்டின் வந்து நான் வந்து ஏன் வந்து இப்போ அல்டிமேட் இதுவாக இருக்காங்க.
ஆமா. நீங்க வெளியில போனா வேற வேலை பார்த்தா அங்க இன்னும் காசு குடுப்பாங்க. அல்டிமேட் எப்படி தேர்ந்தெடுத்தீங்க? எதனால தேர்ந்தெடுத்தீங்க? அது மாரி ஒரு இன்ஸ்டன்ஸ் இருக்கா? எப்போ உங்களுக்கு புரிஞ்சது, இல்ல அல்டிமேட்ல தான் நான் வேலை செய்யணும்னு?
Sure. So I wanted to become a civil servant in the government office, first of all. So I am the first graduate in my entire family. So like if I am become a government servant, then it becomes a very big role model for my entire generation. They may inspire and they will start studying and get some decent jobs at least. That is how I thought initially. And then I started my ultimate career at my 12th graduate, 12th grade. So I got introduced by like some called sport beach, I mean in beach Agni tournament, where like during Agni Nakshatra, it's a like very peak of heat in South India. So we'll organize some local tournament. So where all the rookies come join and practice. They will give training for 2 or 3 weekends, and then they will conduct one tournament. That's how I started my ultimate. Before that, I just wanted to play at least a team where I didn't get any chance in my school, government school and all. So I just wanted to wear that uniform, same uniform, and play as a team player, where I get the opportunity and played in ultimate frisbee. And also I saw lots of new peoples. Like I am from kind of underserved community, so like I can see lots of like a little bit rich people also playing like the sport, and they also respected me equally and taught us lots of new things. And I seeing them, I learned a lot actually, being a leader in like Indian ultimate frisbee. So I learned from others, like basically like I've been shy to talk to girls. So where like it's a mixed gender sport, I get an opportunity to just get out of my box and learn lots of things, and how equally respect and give opportunity to that's NGO. So it's being related the Pudiyudur and Varsha for education. I started as a school teacher for 3 months. After that, I got opportunity, and I am a player. I just wanted to spread. Like in India, it's very like at that time, 2015. I thought like I wanted to spread my sport like entire at least India. I thought at that time. So I got opportunity in Ultimate Player Association. Yeah. So I am got a position operation manager level. So and then all over India, I can just work with experience of being represented India in under 23 and under 2016, 15 and 16. And I worked all over India. And then I got another opportunity after I've been worked for UPAI for 2 years, and I got lots of exposure. And then I got opportunity to work in my specific region itself. I got opportunity in One All as a program head right now. So where I worked with underprivileged community, fishing community, and in schools, government schools. Like here, lots of girls are not getting enough opportunity, and after puberty, they are not allowed to play any, like not a sport from their house, only school. And it's within like it's become like too murky, like within house, like you do go for school and home, like do some household things. So through the sport, like I think life skill education through ultimate frisbee, like One All is giving like lots of exposure to young women and adults, where like around like we are reaching out 1,000 children, and they are learning this ultimate frisbee sport and learning life skill education, and being very good role models in the within that region and society.
Yeah, no, that's incredible to hear. And I think a lot of what you said resonates with a lot of people, the chance to interact with different people from all walks of life, really forces you out of your comfort zone. And also, I guess, wanted to just congratulate you as well, being first in your family to graduate. That's an incredible achievement, and I think extremely proud of yourself. And also brings me on to the next question in terms of that's an incredible achievement. Are there any other notable achievements that people from that team have gone on to do? Obviously, it's an under 23s championship, so it's young people just starting to like make their way in the world. Are there like notable things people from that team have gone on to do either within Ultimate or just within the within general life? Maybe Varsha can answer that one.
Sure, thanks, T. So many overachievers in that team. Where do I begin? Of course, we have Sumesh, who's working with us at One All, and along with another teammate of his, Ganesh, who's also working at One All as a facilitator. They've been doing an amazing job inspiring young people to play the sport and learn more and want more from their lives. Suhani and Rocket, they've both captained 2 national teams after the under 23. And then one of those campaigns, which they won a bronze medal. Kenny, Rahul, Maitri, and Nimisha, who are from, they've all got jobs at Decathlon as sports leaders, and they've been slowly getting promoted. Jagan and Meena have become PT teachers at schools. The coaches, how can I forget the coaches? Box and Pranav work at the Quad in Chennai, and they've also been national team head coaches. And all of these players have gone on to play several tournaments, several national championships, and represented the country in, I think since then, every single tournament that has happened has had some representative from this under 23 team in it. So this first team has really shaped the future of Ultimate in India.
Yeah, no, it's incredible to hear. As I said, young people, under 23s, so it's, everything's kind of still ahead of them, and it's great to hear so many players still involved with the game and still doing it at the highest levels within Indian Ultimate, and then also then going and becoming educators, teachers. It's really paving it forward for the next generation, and that type of stuff. It just gives me a lot of hope, gives me a lot of inspiration, gives me something. It's just goodness in the world, right? And even speaking of goodness, and I think something that really came through in the documentary for me was the real sense of family that the team brought. And I guess my question was it the coach's messaging? Was it something coming from the players? At what point in the process did it feel like a family and not just a collection of individuals? And maybe Sumesh might be best placed to answer that one.
Yeah. So we got actually very good coach, actually, Dan Drew. So he not only coach for us, like he's like a role model and for the team. So you all know, like, India is university in diversity. Like we got that players from all over India. Like we don't know. I mean, each of us don't have, like, some people from north, some people from south, west, and east. So they all speaking different languages. So like while, and also Dan is from like Australia, speaking some like accent of English. It's also different. We are also able to didn't understand. So like we have like translators among us. Like if he is talking in English, like we parallelly communicate each other in the regional languages. So, and also like our one of our biggest camp is Surat camp. We have a 10-day long camp. So we all have to stay together and I mean like eat and like sleep together in a same place. So it's become residential camp Madri. So where like we all come together and we all like to know each other, playing, and their what are the difficulties they are facing in their house, and the difficult to come across and make it to this under 20 team, and then all realize and just represent our country in under 23 championship in London. And that is so like feel like a family and difficulties, and we all train together and we eat and share everything together.
I guess coming from a community, it's coming from different communities, bring it together, create your own community. But it's also one, I guess it's a theme throughout both the documentary and also the sport in general, the wider community. What was it about the wider community support that really surprised you the most, Varsha? Whether it was the cleat drive in Australia, about 100 kilograms worth of boots, or whether the money raised, or maybe something else. What was it about the community support that you just thought, wow, this is a special community to be part of?
When we got the 100 kilos of boots from Australia, we thought, oh my God, this is amazing to have a community across oceans supporting us like this. But then we reached London, and as soon as we stepped on the ground there, it was just amazing that everybody there was telling us, oh, you're from India, we're so glad you made it, we've been following your story throughout. And the managers of the campaign had been publicizing the story and updates about how the team was training and what was going on and the difficulties that we were facing, all the fundraising efforts that we were trying to do. And sitting in India, we had no idea about where this was going or who was listening to it or what was actually happening. But when we actually got to the ground there in London, and we, every single team that we met, every team that this under 23 team played in the spirit circle said, we are so lucky to have played you. We've been wanting to play you. We love your spirit. And it was just so open, and you could feel the welcome from everybody. And that was just, it was just so heartening to see that it's not just the ultimate community within India that's awesome, it's ultimate communities everywhere that are just awesome, and everybody should just play the sport.
Yeah, no, that's incredible to hear. Yeah, the community, I think that's something that draws and attracts players from all over the world to the sport, keeps us invested within it, whether it's within your local community, you find a group of people who like, oh, actually, these are my type of people. And then you actually find, oh, I go abroad and there's these types of people as well doing the same thing I love with the same type of value systems. And it's really helps feel connected internationally, as well as being able to express your own individual identities and cultures within that. I think there's a real space for everything to manifest within the ultimate frisbee like international community, more so than maybe within other sports. And I think demonstrated none more so beautifully than the things we see in the documentary and what you've so beautifully told us there. Guess my next question is, what was something from that time which is memorable to you, which we don't see in the documentary? I think, Minu, maybe from an outside perspective, maybe not involved in the team at that time, what is something you remember maybe following it, if you were at all, just something memorable from that time that we just don't see?
Actually, I'm quite disconnected with that team, to be fair. I wasn't in the country when all this was happening, and I remember feeling kind of jealous for not being in the country and part of this whole excitement and this the change that was happening, all of the advancement, all of the experiences these players were going through. Yeah, I was really, really missing out, and that's I was actually outside the country, so it was that's my very short answer. But I was envious of not being in the country for a change.
Yeah, And maybe
Megna, do you have a...
that's exactly where I was going.
Sorry, did you say I should give it a shot? Okay, cool. I think something that we don't see in the documentary is really the impact of that campaign on Indian Ultimate. And we kind of live to see that every day. It's been an ocean change. And it just goes to show how, a single ray of hope can transform, uplift, and energize the community. So I think that would be my pick. And I think Varsha, you might, given you were behind the camera, was there something that you left out and didn't show us?
There are a couple of things that come to mind. First, I think, was the way the team embraced and welcomed me into the team. It really came through. I'll give you a small example. We had a small Zoom mic that we used to record sound with, and in the beginning, we had a very lean crew doing this whole film. It was me and just a couple of others helping out with sound, and so I got into the habit of getting one of the players, hey, this is how you do this is how you operate, just record. And a month passed by, and a couple of months, and everybody learned how to use the Zoom recorder, and they would request for it when I forgot that the Zoom wasn't there. And well, they'd pass it around, and there'd be at times at the end of the day when I'd be listening to the audio, and I'd have completely amazing clips that I had no idea was being recorded, and it was all done by the players themselves. So that was one thing that I wanted to let people know who are watching, that the team actually took this film and made it their own. And a funny story that I wanted to share with everybody was, we were at the Chennai airport. The flights were going to leave to London, and all of us were traveling together. And I think we had four or five managers for the 22 people 22 players who were on the team. And so a couple of people had forgotten that they had packed deodorant in their hand luggage, and just before they were going to check in, we realized that was happening, and they were like, oh no, we can't throw our deodorants away. And everyone was standing in line. So we had two people with deodorant cans in their hands, just walking up and down the line, just spraying everybody who was there because they didn't want to give their deos away. And it was amazing. Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there.
Those are the type of things where it's only in the moment, no one could have foreseen. It's just something experienced by the team, and it's one of those moments like, oh, okay, now I'm guessing still one of those things you look back on as like, throughout all of maybe the hardship, the struggle of trying to put the project together, everything, you look back on those type of memories, just something as simple as deodorant in an airport, but it's one of those still to this day kind of brings you that joy when you think about that experience. And then, Sumesh, how about yourself? Anything memorable from that experience? And also, secondly, what was it to be live streamed for the first time?
Yeah. So first time, like we got to know, because we didn't know, like we got get live stream. So we got live stream against Ireland. So we thought like we must win this, because like whole country is watching us. We just been trained for 9 months. Like no other, none of our family members is watching. We are playing in that, even in India. So we thought like all the stadium, like we just playing in a very good grass field, like the stadium, nobody is around. We thought like we all individual players thought like our parents are watching, and the entire country is watching us. So I think we need to give our best. And I think we just couple of points low, and then like we got come back and win this match. So each and everyone give their 100%, then got to win that match actually.
Okay, and guess that brings me on to a follow-up question from that. Minu, what in your, I guess, experience or from your perspective is the importance of having games filmed and having just a documentation of that record to show the sport, to publicize it, and just to capture those games and moments?
என்ன கேட்டாங்க எனக்கு புரியல.
இல்ல ஸோ லைவ் ஸ்ட்ரீம்னால நம்மளுக்கு என்ன பெனிஃபிட்னு கேட்குறாரு. நான் சொல்லவா, நீங்க சொல்றீங்களா?
நீங்க சொல்லுங்க.
சரி, cool. So I'll take that tea. With the live stream, I think seeing is really believing, and for the longest time we couldn't really capture that with footage. And we had these tiny parties all over India that, you know, kind of got together in a player's house just to watch our athletes compete. And while it was great fun in the moment, I think the ability to show that to parents or to school teachers or to the community at large and inspire the next generation to show that it is possible to represent your country, it is possible to go explore these beautiful countries across the world, and it is even possible to beat one of, you know, the top countries in the sport, was great. We're still to see if videos like this and other live streams where India's gone on to do so well start bringing in, I think, funding and also eventual government recognition. But I think all of these are definitely pluses of that live stream happening. Oh, I should add that the value of our jerseys went up. So at trading night, we all got sweet deals for a while.
There you go. It's all about that, getting that cash dollar, baby. No, I'm just joking. Okay, but on a more serious note, my next question: what other, apart from whatever the UPAI is doing and the other organisations mentioned, what are some of the initiatives within India and within Indian Ultimate helping bridge that economic gap? I know we saw in the documentary the fundraiser which allowed everyone to go and compete regardless of socioeconomic backgrounds. What other, gives us some chance to highlight any other initiatives and work happening in India right now helping to bridge that gap, whether it be at the elite level or it be at the grassroots level?
I'm happy to take that. Thanks, T. So that's a great question. For some time now, we have been from within Ultimate Players Association in terms of making it more accessible for our community. Of course, our national teams, we are constantly working to get sponsored. We ensure that everyone who is meritocratically selected onto a national team is supported, funded, and is treated equal when they go out and represent us. And from our end, we try and provide subsidies on membership fees, and for tournaments, just making sure if anyone wants to play that they're able to play. But apart from these, we have yes, you mentioned the UPAI fundraiser that we have going. That's something we're reaching out to our community to support us on, and we're also launching a coach certification program where we're hoping to have more coaches certified through different levels different levels of certification, so they can do different types of coaching, from facilitating a beginner group to being a national team head coach. And so this would be something that would hopefully bring in some financial support to the organization. We're exploring partnerships with corporates and government. Hopefully something comes through. But more specifically, something in terms of elite competition, something that we've been discussing is hopefully starting some sort of a a professional league. Either I think this is something that we talked about with ULTI.TV last week as well. It's just looking at like an interstate pro league or something of that sort that would bring in some revenue for UPAI. Megna, do you have anything else to add?
No, this, I think you've captured it beautifully.
The prospect of more ultimate is one that tickles something deep within inside of me. Just the thought of another pro league to follow, just like, ooh, it gets me going. So I'm really hopeful that it does come together. And yeah, it's one of those things we're all passionate about. See more ultimate at every level, whether it's the top players of the country battling it out for professional championships, or whether it's just children in the parks, like just seeing discs flying everywhere. It's just all the frisbee all the time, right? All the frisbee all the time. I guess on the flip side of that is, what type of things, maybe Varsha, would you like to see make ultimate more accessible, I guess, not just for Indians, but for people across the world?
I think one of the really important things to do would be to make the rules accessible in all languages possible, because that is something that we struggle with a lot. Um, all the accreditation tests are all in English. You really need to know your English well to pass those tests. And working in the grassroots, that's really hard. You can translate, but that's that only gets you so far. So having a consolidated effort, especially in a country like India, where we have so many different languages and players playing from so many different states, having the rules of the game and spirit rules explained in different languages would make a huge difference for accessibility. And while we're on that, having it audio recorded and not just as text would also make it accessible to people who have disabilities. So I think these are a couple of things that I could think about for making Ultimate more accessible.
And Megna, do you have anything to add with that? I think I'm going to go around because I think we'll have our own thoughts and ideas for this. So I think we're going to go around.
Yeah, I think something that I have missed, or at least the Indian national team can't afford to stay in any of the ACO options that are provided by the tournament organizers, right? So they are all mid to luxurious options, and we would really welcome like a low budget option that would be a little bit more inclusive, and maybe even I don't know if VIFTIF's put thought into this, but if they could run the numbers on what it costs for every national team to travel to a particular location and pick a location that works the cheapest for most athletes, that would be welcome as well.
Yeah, and Minnie, yourself, any thoughts? I'm very much in agreed with you, Megna. Trying to stay neutral. I have very strong thoughts and opinions on all of the stuff you're saying, but my role here today is to ask the questions. So I shall continue to go around, but best believe I am indeed in massive agreement with you. Minnie?
Yeah, I have something to add. We have access. So in India, when we want to watch an Ultimate Frisbee game, we have access to a lot of Ultimate from other countries, except when we go to an international tournament and we are on the field that has a live stream camera on, and then there are Indians playing, but there is no we don't get to watch our own top club teams play when we have our club nationals. So what I'm getting to is having live streaming of tournaments within India. Recently, in another group, some conducted a tournament and live streamed a weekend. But yeah, we'd love for our club series, our club championship series, to be live streamed, so we have role models and stars to look up to from within our community.
Yeah, and I think that just goes on to the work that ULTI.TV is doing, trying to make Ultimate free to watch for everyone, no paywalls. So we're talking about that accessibility for some people. Myself, even though I live in London, I live in the West, it's still certain paywalls to access Frisbee content. It's just yeah, most of my life as a student, you know, there's a big pay barrier, whereas someone else might be looking like, oh, it's only this month a month. When you're looking at it from a global socioeconomic scale, it's actually a really big, paywalls are a really big barrier to that. And in terms talking about inclusivity, having free to watch Ultimate from wherever you're, I don't think it's unreasonable to hope and to want that your national series, your top level in your club, is broadcast, you know. That should be a foundational piece, not a luxury, he said. But also, Sumesh, what is it that you'd like to see to make Ultimate more accessible, more inclusive, more?
Yeah, I think Megna and Minu covered everything. So from player perspective, I would say like we got lots, I mean, very less exposure. So in terms of like some other abroad people's like players can visit and like do some community works and like approach. I mean, that will be helpful to develop Indian Ultimate and inspire more people here as well. Like they're all stars in like YouTubes and like we can watch through YouTube, but in person they come and like coaches like they share their experience with us, means like it means a lot for us to just learn, and we can also play like high level Ultimate in upcoming futures.
Yeah, no, fantastic. And last but not least, Varsha, yourself?
I think I already went. I was
Oh,
the
you
first
already
one.
went. That's me away with the fairies. Me away with the fairies. So yeah, I've been here reaching near an hour long. I think my final question, I'd like everyone to answer it once again as well, maybe from your different perspectives, either organizationally speaking, from the media perspective, Varsha, from playing perspective, Sumesh. What has been the lasting legacy of this team on Indian Ultimate, and what are your hopes for the next generation of players? Varsha, do you like to kick us off?
Sure, thanks. I hope the lasting legacy that this team has had is the importance of being a team and being part of something that's bigger than yourself. And that's really something that I got out of it. And I hope through this film, through sharing this story, through playing Ultimate, and being a part of something, having that sense of belonging, to do more for yourself, for the community, for people around you. I think it's just amazing. This sport is just amazing, and this team really showed us that. The amount of effort that Dan and the rest of the coaches and the managerial staff put in to make this happen really brought out all these amazing stories that are coming out just because people are playing the sport. And I really hope that this team has inspired a lot of young people to pick up the disc and just start throwing.
Yeah, great answers. Sumesh, yourself, how about from like a player's perspective? What's your hopes for the future, and what's been the lasting impact of this team?
Yeah. So next generation, I mean like என்ன பண்ணணும் next generation தான கேக்குறாங்க.
இந்த அண்டர் 23 ஓட லெகசி கேட்குறாங்க. அதனால நம்ம ஃபியூச்சர் டீம்ஸ் எப்படி பிளான் பண்ணுவாங்கன்னு.
Yes. So we made some foundation of ultimate players in India to showcase in abroad. So I think like our younger generation is picking up on like playing high level ultimate in India itself. And as I requested, like as a Dan Rule, as a coach, like made like tremendous thing in India. So like that all whoever in that under 20 team makes like a, I mean, like giving back to community, and like that sport is spreading all over India. So within ultimate community, world ultimate community, there is lots of coaches. They can visit us and then keep inspiring us, and then we can just do lots of things. I think I mean, lots of like talented athletics here in India, but very less exposure and opportunity to showcase. So I think that's the thing we needed actually to inspire next generation.
Megna, what about yourself? The lasting impact that this team has had within yourself or within India, and also your hopes for the next generation?
I think what this team made possible was that they didn't wait for things to happen to them. They went there and made it happen. And I think that's a lesson that we can all take away. It was made possible only with the determination of volunteers. And I wish the spirit of volunteering and giving back and building the community stays alive and actually goes from strength to strength. I think that would be the true win of this.
Yeah, no, yeah, shout out to all of the volunteers. It's the sport doesn't happen without them, even at the highest levels, world championships or even grassroots levels. It's the volunteering aspect and that giving back is really pivotal to the success and the progress of the sport. And hopefully one day the volunteers can become paid volunteers when the sport becomes the biggest sport in the world, right? And last but certainly not least, Minnie, yourself, your hopes and dreams for the next generation and the lasting impact of this team.
Yeah, I think Varsha, Megna, and Sumesh covered most of the points, but in terms of a lasting legacy, we've mentioned this throughout the this call today, but most of the under 23 players from that team have gone on to become leaders within their own communities. They've also been a part of the UPAI volunteer workforce and contributed back to the community. And so, as Megna said, hopefully this the volunteering, giving back fire stays alive, right? And as we continue to grow, we hope folks watch this, documentary, this movie that Varsha's put together, and get inspired and want to give back to the community. We're also hoping that through this, through viewing this documentary, that we get more partners, sponsorship through both corporate and government entities, and yeah, just we're hoping for nonprofits to continue to use. It's one of our biggest parts of our organization, right? Working with nonprofits, NGOs that use Ultimate as a tool, and hopefully more pick up Ultimate, use it as a tool, and we're able to spread to as many people as we can, spread this sport that we're so passionate about to as many people as we can. So,
No, just quickly before we go, I just want to quickly just delve a little deeper into talking about organization, and see here I've actually got leaders of the UPAI, and just happened to notice a lot of women in the organization, and maybe you can speak to women's leadership within UPAI and what that bodes for the future of Indian Ultimate and along those lines.
Yeah, great question. Thanks, T. I think it's again down to the fantastic leaders that we've had in India, who very early on figured out that we need representation almost like a no decisions about us without us kind of thing. And today we're not just at 50%, we're at 70%, women representation at all managerial posts in UPAI. Most of our committees are led by women, or at least co-chaired by a woman. And our president and treasurer are women on the executive board. I think that has enabled us to look at every single opportunity with the lens of gender. And I'll take the case in point of the under-23 championship itself. All 3 assistant coaches were male, and it was a decision that was not intentional, but had consequences in Indian Ultimate for many years. That we are yet to produce a female head coach, and all assistant coaches from that campaign went on to become head coaches. Was that something that could have been fixed if we had a female in a position of power or in a decision-making, kind of spot? Would she have caught that? Because it is really an honest and easy miss, but it's things like that that we need to fix. And I feel that the future of Indian Ultimate, mixed Ultimate, is in good hands. With WIFTIF kind of bringing in the pooling rule, I think even before it went live across the world, we've implemented it fairly quickly. And I think just the ability to not just talk about women, but talk about true inclusion and how Indian Ultimate can move towards including other underrepresented groups, whether it is non-binary, whether it is people living with disabilities. How do we really push the needle and make sure that the sport speaks to everyone who wants to embrace the sport is key.
I think that's opened up a whole new conversation. I'd love to really dig deep down at the end that rabbit hole, because myself, I'm a personal advocate campaigner for equity, intersectional equity, and all of the stuff you're talking about there is really touching upon that. I'll leave it with a mediocre person learns from their mistakes, a wise person learns from the mistakes of others, the wisest of people listens to the women. And that will be where I shall leave that. So back to the documentary. All of the episodes are online with ULTI.TV's YouTube channel. You can watch. Please give it a like, subscribe, share, support Indian Ultimate, support Ultimate Frisbee around the world, trying to really develop the sport, make it as accessible and as visible to as many people as possible. And it's even outside of the aims and objectives of what we're trying to do here. It's just a standalone documentary. It really is worth giving it a watch. So please go check it out. That is all from me. Thank you to my guests here for joining us today, the work that they do, and shall see you on a field somewhere sometime soon.
COT, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.